I'm able to hit the slopes here in Sierra Nevada, Spain, anytime I want because I automate about 90% of my business. If you want to skip the lesson, my 20 most valuable automations are available as free digital download in the description below. Those 20 automations alone are instrumental in generating thousands in monthly revenue for myself and my outsourcing clients. But if you're the type of person who wants a better understanding of how to make things work for you, in this video, I'm going to introduce you to tools that I use, including Trello, Make, ChatGPT, and a whole host of others to automate not just my business, but also make my entire life more efficient. Hey, my name is Christian, but you can call me Lil.
Yo quiero hacer el check-in, por favor.
Phew, it has been quite a journey, but I finally made it to Mallorca. I have to say, it's quite a bit colder than I expected it to be. It's colder than Seville, for sure. Let's go ahead and jump straight into this. The most important app that I use for automating all of my businesses is Make.com. Formerly known as Integromat, it's probably not the most powerful application that I use, but it is the cornerstone. It's the thing that holds all of the rest together. Essentially what Make does is it gives you a simple, no-code, easy-to-use interface to connect any number of apps together automatically. For example, pretty much every one of my companies has a contact form that sends the information onto Make, which then takes their information and adds it to a Trello card. That way my staff can keep track of where they are in, like a customer onboarding process. And then it connects with Gmail to send them an automated email. In some cases, just letting them know that we got their message. In other cases, sending them automatic links to book a meeting with me or with somebody else on the staff. We have another Make automation that completely automates a faceless YouTube channel. Essentially, it starts with a ChatGPT API connection. It generates a script. Then it moves to a DALL-E 3 connection. It generates an AI image. Then it connects with a Whisper API, and it turns that script into an AI voiceover. Then we connect Make to one of our own websites that takes all of those files and combines them together into a video. Make then automatically sends it off to Vista Social, which is how we post automatically to any social media channel. Some of the most important apps that you can connect together are ChatGPT, HubSpot, Trello, Gmail, Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Drive, Slack, any of the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. You can connect it to WooCommerce or Shopify or WordPress. The most amazing thing about Make is that it's entirely malleable to exactly what you want. I mean, you can define every single step of the process, find when it gets triggered, how it gets triggered, and then you can use data from any of the applications in any of the other ones. The next most important app that we use for automations has got to be ChatGPT, but not the web version, the API. The web version is obviously a great way if you want to personally enter all of the information, but if you need to automate, you need to send it to something called an API, which stands for Application Programming Interface. Essentially, it allows you to fire off a URL, send ChatGPT the data, the prompt, and then receive the response back. Now, luckily, Make.com has the ChatGPT API built in, which means that we don't have to, dabble in any code or anything like that. The coolest thing about the ChatGPT API is not just going to do all of the things that you expect it to do, like content writing, email autoresponders, auto Instagram comments, and the like, but can actually format data. So for example, I use it to block out times and dates on my calendar. I use it to perform natural language processing analyses so that I can analyze a block of text that ranks for X term and then tell me basically why it ranks for that term. And in my Lil Assistant's contact form, I even use it to analyze all of the data that they give me and guess what their spirit animal will be so that I can send them an AI generated image of the animal. That last one's just a bit of fun, but I mean, you get the point. You can use it to do so many different things aside from just content or text generation. The next most useful application that I use has got to be Trello. At its core, Trello is basically a project management software, and there are people just like me who will swear by Zoho, ClickUp, Monday, HubSpot. I've been using Trello for a long time, so I might have a little bit of a bias. It's kind of like the OG in this sort of arena. It's just a simple tool that does absolutely everything that I need. It integrates with Make.com, so right there I can create, add, manipulate tasks however I see fit. But on top of that, it has its own set of automations. A few of the most common use cases for us are, for example, in our content Trello board, when a card/article is added to a certain column, the card is automatically populated with all of the details that it's going to need: the description, the title, the client's name, the link to the Google Doc where the article is actually housed. Once it's been approved by the project manager, it'll be moved to a certain column, which copies that card instantly over to the graphics Trello board. And then of course from there, our graphic designers take over and create all of the imagery that we're gonna need for the article. All in all, Trello is just like a piece of software that we use to stay organized, but because it integrates with Make and because it's got its own set of automations, essentially it's become an integral part of our automated workflow. Before we move on here, I need to let you know that I have another YouTube channel at Little Assistants, where we go into much more detail, very specific, the nitty-gritty of how these things work. And I've recently posted a video there where I walk you through 4 different automations, step by step, how to set them up. So if you're into tutorials and you want the specifics of how all of this works together, then make sure you check out that video. I'll leave it in a link in the description below. The next most important app that we use for automating our workflow is Slack. And if you've ever used Slack, I know exactly what you're thinking. It's just a messaging app, right? Well, I do obviously use it to communicate with my team, but Slack also comes with a whole bunch of integrations. They just call them apps that you can use to automate a whole bunch of different functions. Just as a single example, I set up a webhook in a certain Slack channel that when a number is posted in the channel, it will trigger our content automation, which then hooks up with Google Sheets and grabs all of the information that we need out of Google Sheets and writes a blog article automatically. We could certainly do this without Slack, but considering this is basically where my entire team lives and breathes, it's just a lot more convenient to be able to automate things from within the platform. I've also used it for timesheets, client reports, invoices, I mean, everything that you can imagine. The next most important app is Formaloo. Formaloo at its core is a form builder, much like Typeform, if you've ever used that before. The main differences between Formaloo and Typeform is that Formaloo, well, number one, is way cheaper. We have tens of thousands of form submissions every month, and I honestly have no idea how much that would cost on Typeform. Probably hundreds of dollars a month. But number two, it's way more customizable. There's so many other features, I'm not even sure I could dive into them. But a couple of the ones that are most important to us are custom domain names, custom emails, and it can also store all of your form submission data in like a database that can be publicly viewed and displayed in these little apps. Really cool piece of software that we use for every single contact form on every single one of our websites. Sign up forms, onboarding forms, product giveaways, pretty much everything that collects any type of data with any of our companies is probably done through Formaloo. And this probably goes without saying, but then you can of course send that data off to make.com and then do whatever you want with it. Now we have our app that automates all of our social media. It's called Vista Social. Vista Social is very similar to Buffer, Hootsuite, Later, if you've ever heard of any of those. It does almost exactly the same thing, which is automate and schedule social media posts on every single social media platform. This is essential if you want to batch create your social media. It might be hard getting around to creating a social media post and posting it all the time, every day, you know, right on schedule. So what you can do is you can dedicate, you know, like an entire day to create, let's just say, a month's worth of social media posts and then schedule them daily. Some of the cool features that Vista Social has in particular is a graphic interface that looks just like the social media post, so you know exactly what it's going to look like. They have a built-in AI to help you actually create the posts if that's something that you need. Of course, you can just use ChatGPT. They have a feature that helps you figure out the best time to post based on your subscribers, your followers, etc. activity. Just like all the other ones, they have the ability to integrate with make.com so that you can connect it to any number of other apps, including ChatGPT, AI image generators. Okay, I wasn't gonna say this one because it doesn't automate in the traditional sense, but I think I'd be doing us all a disservice if I didn't go over it, and that is Google Sheets. In 2024, Google Sheets is so robust that it essentially acts as like a graphical database. So large and efficient that I would go as far as to say if you've got a small to mid-sized application, you don't even need a real database. Google Sheets is enough. In fact, that's what we use it for like half of our Make automations. About 50% of our Make automations write and retrieve data from Google Sheets. Probably the biggest example is our cold email automation. Essentially, it's just one big Google Sheet with name, email addresses, and columns indicating which email we've already sent them. Make goes through and pulls the records from Google Sheets based on the correct information, sends off the email, and then writes in, we've sent this email, so skip them next time. Make sure to like this video and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Out.